Okay. Hello, my name is Caden. It is currently Sunday, June the 28th, 2020. I couldn't think of any other way to start this video. Um, Before we begin, I'm going to give you a number of reasons to stay, because I'm sure anyone who clicks on this video will be immediately tempted to click off. First reason, the quality probably sucks. I'm filming this on an iPhone 7, so the lighting probably isn't that good, nor is the audio, but I'm working with what I can. Second, at time of recording, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I'm guessing it's going to be pretty long, and many of you will not want to sit through and watch all of that, but I beg that you do, because a topic like depression is not something that can be summed up quickly. Any video that says it can sum up depression in 5 to 10 minutes is either lying to you or the person / people making it don't understand depression. And to be quite honest, no one understands depression. It is one of the weirdest sicknesses in the world. And I'm not saying I understand it. I can only explain how has it affected my life and how it has made me feel. And I hope that anyone watching this who has gone through it can relate and hopefully learn something or gain something from this video. So with that out of the way, let's start. Like I said, my name is Caden. I am 19 years old. I have suffered depression since, as far back as I can remember, at least 13 years old, so 6 years going on now. So it has literally affected me for about a third of my life. I have lived with this for about a third of my life, which is not easy to admit. Ever since I was little, I've always been quite introverted. I've always tried to hide my feelings from people. Only when it gets super bad do I just come out and explain myself or whatever. So when I got into depression, I didn't tell anybody for a long time. I hid it. I didn't tell anybody what I was going through. Only it. This is gonna be really hard. I might cry a lot in this video, and I'm sorry about that, but it just happens. I've always tried not to cry at things. I've always been a super hard person. I definitely try not to cry in front of other people, because I guess that just makes me look weak in my own brain. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna have to cut out these portions where I just don't speak. There's gonna be a lot of this, by the way. Where to begin? It all started. I'm gonna go all over the place in this video, and I apologize, but again, there's no way I can talk about this in just a straight manner. It's gonna be all over the place, and again, I apologize, but just please bear with me. Please sit through this and watch it, because no matter if this video gets 1,000 views or 10 views, if it can help at least one person out, then my mission is achieved. I've succeeded. So my depression began sort of kind of back in middle school. At the time, going through your preteen, 12, 13 years old, your life's starting to change a bit. You're getting more responsibilities. You're starting to understand things more. You're not all fun and games like it was when you were a kid, 5 through 11 years old. But I wasn't, totally sad yet. I've always hated school. I have never liked it. Even though I'm pretty good at it, not to brag, but I've always been very smart. But I've never liked school, just because I'm just working at stuff I hate just doesn't excite me. I can't. I have to like when I'm working on it, and most school subjects I hate. But so yeah, I hate it. I didn't like middle school, but it's just like I'm just dealing with it as I go along. It's school, whatever. I'll get through it. And at the time, I didn't realize it, but now looking back on it, I had started to lose my interest in a lot of things. When I was a kid, I had tons of different hobbies. I was a very action kid. I liked action movies, so I liked to, play with toy guns, or I would dump out a bunch of things on the floor and pretend it was armies fighting and stuff. And I just attributed it to growing up. I had grown out of a lot of those hobbies because, kids enjoy different stuff than teens do, and than adults do. It's just how life works, and that's what I attributed it to. But I also think it was a part of me just getting sad and not interested in things. And my only hobby that I had really retained by the end of middle school was video games. I've been playing video games since I was like 5, and I've always enjoyed it. And slowly over time, it became more and more my favorite hobby until eventually it was just about my only hobby. I would get home, put off doing homework for an hour, eat a snack, do my homework, and then play video games the rest of the night until I had to go to bed. And after 8th grade, that summer, that was basically all I did, was just play video games and dread the thought of going into high school, because growing up, you always watch these movies, looking at high school, and, oh, it looks so dreaded and all that. And that was how that went. I'm trying to think of what to say. I didn't pre-script this. There's no way I could have. I literally spent probably 20 minutes pacing, thinking about what I was going to say before I sat down to do this. And again, I'm sorry if this video isn't very good to watch, but I feel like I just have to get this all out in a life story telling manner. So, going into high school, freshman year, I had moved for 1st grade through 7th grade. I had been at this district called Crowley. If you live in my area, you'll know where I'm at. I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, by the way. Texas boy, even though I don't sound like it. We're not all country. And then in 8th grade, I had switched to a new district called Brewer, and I didn't really know anybody, so I only retained one friend from Crowley. I only have retained one friend. You know who you are. So it was weird trying to get used to all these new people, and luckily Brewer, I was not bullied as much. I've always been bullied because I'm short. I'm only 5'8", which is about average height for a guy, but the ideal image is above 6 feet, whatever. But luckily, when I went to Brewer, I didn't really get bullied at all. Also, because I think by that age, people are just like, ugh, bullying's not funny anymore. Let's focus on other things. So, but even though I wasn't bullied, it was still weird trying to get used to new friends and a new environment and things. And through 8th grade, I talked to some people, but I didn't really get close with anybody. I only had basically one friend that I talked to out of school, and he would just come over for sleepovers and stuff, and that was about it. I didn't other than that, I didn't talk to anyone outside of school besides my one friend and my family. And you never stop talking to your family unless things are really bad, so there's that. But going into freshman year, I didn't have too many friends going in, and all I heard was how hard it was going to be, how much work was going to be in it. And okay, this is where I'm going to trash talk some people. My family might get a little offended by this video, and I'm sorry about that. I truly love every single one of you. But there are some decisions that y'all made, for better or worse, that put me through hard times. And again, y'all were just doing what you think is best. I'm just saying how it affected me. I wouldn't change a thing. Well, I say that, I probably would, whatever, but my parents did the best they could raising me. I still love them. I have no hatred towards my parents. But there are decisions that they made that did not make my life easy, at least in my view. My mom has always pushed me to work harder and be better, and that's something every mom and dad as well should do. But seeing as how I didn't enjoy school, I had already hated it all my life. And my mom, seeing my, intellect and my smartness, decided to put me in pre-AP and AP classes, which is, for those who don't know, is basically just like advanced level classes. They're basically classes that are supposed to prepare you for college. So they're like college level classes teaching high schoolers. AKA, it's a lot more work, a lot more homework, which homework has always been the burden in my life. I hate it. So, and I didn't enjoy that. I had, I think, one AP class and either 2 or 3 pre-AP classes going into freshman year, and the rest were electives, which are easier, kind of just classes that you really know too much in at all. And I didn't like that, because all I wanted to do when I would get home is play video games, but instead now I just had an hour or two of homework to do, and I always found a way to procrastinate and stretch that to 3 or 4 hours of homework. And by that point, I had to eat dinner too, and then I would have to go to bed because I had a bedtime, and I didn't, I would basically just didn't have much time to play video games or even just watch TV, which is my other hobby, I suppose. I didn't have much time to do it anymore. I had a lot less time than during my previous years in life in school. And it took a toll on me after just even a few weeks into freshman year. It was taking a toll on me. And at the time, for some reason, I thought I couldn't see a way out. I couldn't just drop the classes. I was putting as much effort into them as I could. And so, for some reason, I thought maybe I should just end it all. I thought, if this is how my life is going to be from now on, just doing work, not getting time to do what I want ever, why should I continue? And so I thought to myself, if things don't pick up by the end of the first semester, I might just commit suicide. And to some of you that might sound insane, but I didn't have any other mindset. I couldn't see anything else. If I couldn't play video games to be happy, and I couldn't hang out with friends because I really didn't have any to be happy, and I didn't have anything else making me happy besides the 30 minutes I'm happy just eating food, because that makes me happy just eating, and I'm not fat, by the way, but then why should I bother? So, so I thought if my life doesn't pick up by the end of the first semester, so from September to December, I might just not continue. And things really didn't pick up. Classes only got more hard because that's how school works. It's easier at first, and as it goes on, it gets harder. I had increasingly more work that I hated. The one subject I enjoy, which was history, just happened to be the class that was an AP class, aka the hardest class you can take, and so it was just miserable, and I wasn't doing so well because that class required me to read the history book, and I hate reading. I've always hated reading. I don't know why, but I just do. And so I wasn't doing so well as far as grades go, and my mom, to her credit, she has every right to criticize me for getting bad grades and stuff, and try and push me to be the hardest. People who don't work don't get anywhere in life. I know that. I know people like that, and they're failures. I'm not gonna name anyone, but I was like, if I can't take passion in this work, why should I bother doing it? The only reason I did school pretty much throughout my entire high school career, I only did school simply so my mom wouldn't yell at me when I got home, because she's a very sweet and nice person, but when she's angry, she can be a little scary, or at least to me. I mean, that's just how it works. You love your parents, but when they are angry, even if it's not that angry compared to other people, to you, it's like, that's my authority figure, so I'm scared of you. You're a lion about to eat me. And so that's how I saw my mom, because she has very serious eyes when she's angry. And so anytime she would get angry and criticize me about my grades, I would just go quiet and even cry a couple of times because I just didn't know what to say. I'm like, I don't have an excuse. I'm trying, but again, if I don't have passion, I can't do something, or at least I can't do it very well. Everything that I've been good at in life is something I've been very passionate about. And that's true, I think, for most people. Some people just find they're naturally good at something, and more credit to them. But for a lot of people, if you're not passionate about something, you can't be good at it. You just can't, unless it's like super simple. But So, also at the time, my mom and I had gotten evicted from our apartment because of a bunch of political stuff going on in work, and she worked at the apartments we lived at. There was a bunch of politics involved, basically. But basically, we got evicted, and so for I want to say a month or two, or for a couple months during my freshman semester, I lived with my great grandma, who I call Mimi, very original. And I've always been very close to her. My mom had always been busy with work when I was a child, so I would always hang out at her house. So I was very close with her. And she's never been as hard on me because she's not my mom or my dad, so she's not gonna be as hard. She's a grandma, There's only grandma can only go so hard on you. And so I found it somewhat relieving to kind of be away from my mom and not have to hear the criticism of how bad I was doing at school all the time. It was a somewhat relief, but we moved into a new apartment. Me and my mom moved to an apartment before the semester ended, and I didn't like the apartment all that much. I don't know if that really affected my depression or not. I can't really say. I will say, moving always makes me sad. I hate moving, because I hate change. I'm one of those people who I can't stand getting used to something new. Just like every school year, I hate every time a new school year comes along. Like new teachers, new classmates, new this. I hate it. I can't stand it. So the new apartment might have been something. It might not have been. I don't know. But the end of that freshman semester came, and I said, you know what? I don't want to die. I don't. But at the same time, I don't want to live either. I hate living, but I also don't want to die because who knows what comes next. I didn't have anything to turn to, I've been an atheist for a long time. I couldn't turn to God and just pray my fears away. That also means I didn't know if there was an afterlife, and the thought of dying and then just nothingness sucks. So I didn't want to die, but again, I didn't want to live either because the living sucked. Like, life sucked. My only joy was video games. That was it. And I know a lot of older people be like, oh, video games, that's, so, get outside, go be sociable. But it's like, for me, video games was just a world, I could immerse myself in the world of video games. It was a world that I wanted to be in. My favorite game, for example, Minecraft. So pretty and so just a happy game, I just wish I could be in there, a perfect reality to get away to. But obviously I can't because I'm not a freaking wizard. And I'm also, again, I apologize if I'm looking away from the camera so much, but I just haven't. I'm staring at my turned around, like I'm staring at the selfie screen. I don't like staring at myself watching a video. It's very hard to look here than look here. So sorry about that. I'm going to be apologizing for a lot of things in this video, but whatever. I'll edit it maybe a little. There probably won't be many edits, but anyway, back on track. Again, I'm very sorry if I get off track, but my heart is racing right now, and it's hard to focus. But so going into the second semester of freshman year, I was basically telling myself the same thing: if life doesn't improve, I'll commit suicide. Except this time, I actually thought about how I would do it. I thought about how I would end it. Basically, near the apartment I was living in at the time, there was a highway. We lived next to the highway, and there was an overpass that had a bridge on it. And I thought about simply one day just going out there and just jumping off of it, which I don't think I've ever told that to anyone. So I'm sorry that it has to come out like this. But yeah, that's how I thought of ending it. So yeah, that's how I thought about it. And I think at the time I finally confessed to my great grandmother because I didn't know how to say this to my mom because I thought she was part of the problem a little bit at least because she put me through those hard classes, which again I don't blame her for at all. But at the time I just couldn't cope with it. So I talked to my great grandmother, who I felt like would be more understanding of the situation. I told her all what was going on, what I was thinking. And, she was understanding. She promised not to tell my mom, and she didn't. At least not that I know of. I don't think she ever did. I'm pretty sure she didn't, because she and I have always had a trust. But, and it helped a little bit, opening up to someone, telling them what I was going through, because she was the first person I had told after basically being alone for, almost half a year with my thoughts. And so, I was going through second semester, not really feeling any better. School was still the same. School was still hard. It sucked. High school's not fun. No one, I don't think anyone on this earth, you don't have to hate high school, but I don't think you love it either. I'm not sure anyone looks back on their high school and thinks, you know what, that was the best time of my life. They might think it might have been an alright time in life, but anyone who says it's the best time in their life, I think is lying. But for me, it had, up to that point, been the worst point of my life, Every year in my life, it just gotten worse. I always tell this as a joke to myself. My favorite year ever was 2007, just because for some reason a lot of good things happened to me that year. I don't know why. It's just a very fun year to think about. And from that point on, it seemed every year I went through got worse and worse, mainly because of school, because, school gets harder as you go along, and I basically blame school for everything. I mean, literally, that's why I wanted to commit suicide, was school. And so, also, to anyone who thinks they want to commit suicide because school's hard, don't. Honestly, it's hard. You make it hard, okay? Again, I'm not saying you have to like school. I don't like it still, I'll get into this later, but I went to college for a semester, and it was easier than high school. It was actually easier. I still hated it because I just hate school, but, it's honestly, honestly, since I've gotten out of high school, my life hasn't gotten really better, but it's been easier. It has been easier, so, that school thing, it'll come to an end eventually. School doesn't last forever. And it can be hard on you, but you can get through it. Even if you fail, even if you're not smart, honestly, I almost feel like, no offense, I really mean no offense, but I almost feel like kids who aren't as smart honestly get through school just a little easier because they don't have all this expectation put on them. No offense to anyone who's bad at school or just not smart enough, but when you are smart, sure, it's a blessing because, I know everything, but it's also a curse because everyone expects you to, be smart, be A plus. And when you're not A plus and they chastise you, it can be difficult. But, so I think I want to say about March, what was it, 2015? So yeah, 2015, second semester, freshman year, I finally told my mom what I was going. It had been a rough week. I had not done my homework all that week. I had missed out on a project, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to tell my mom. And I did, and, she sat with me, she cried because she felt like she failed me. And any time I sit down with my mom and I tell her what I'm going through, she feels like she failed me, and she hasn't. She really hasn't. Again, I'm criticizing my mom multiple times in this video because she did do stuff that I feel like made my life harder, but she was doing it because she thought it would make it better. And, maybe it did. Maybe putting me through those hard classes did help in a way that I can't even see. Only time will tell. But, I have a fidget spinner right now to de-stress myself, and I probably should be using this a bit more right now. So if you hear spinning, that's what that is. But so yeah, I told my mom, and she was understanding, kind of. Not to say she didn't understand because she was mean. She didn't understand because people who don't go through depression or major anxiety can't, because they're like, well, why are you so sad about everything? Where does it come from? And even I don't know, because I was sad even when I wasn't at school. Even on over Christmas break, I was just sad, even though it was, Christmas. That's a happy time. I'm not at school, so there's no school to stress me out. But I was still just sad about things. I wasn't enjoying just life as much as I had, had used to at one point. And at the time I thought, oh well, it's just when I'm at school or just when I'm doing schoolwork that I'm sad. But no, now I'm sad all the time. Even when I am playing video games, I don't enjoy them as much as I used to because I don't feel joy as much in anything. So and she couldn't understand it. Neither could I. I still don't entirely understand it to this day. I'll explain that in a bit, but just that's what depression does to you. Even when you're doing something that normally would make you happy or used to make you happy, it just doesn't, or at least not to the extent that it should, or you think it should. You feel. Most people, when they think of people who are depressed, they think, oh, they're just mopey all day. They just lie in bed all day and cry about just everything. And it's not like that. It's more so. Throughout most of my 6 years of depression, I would just sit there and contemplate life. Why life isn't making me happy. I hate this. I love this. I wish I could do this more. I wish I didn't have to do this. And while I've definitely had crying fits, I think every month or two I would have like a day or two where I would just cry about life. Most days it's like a blank feeling. You're not happy, but you don't know why. There's things that make you miserable, but you don't understand why they make you miserable all the time. It's like someone stabbed you in the back and they removed the knife, but you still feel like that knife is in you. You still feel the pain of it. It doesn't go away, even though it's gone, even though the instigator of the pain is not there. You still feel the pain. Because when you're a kid and you feel pain, whether it be physical pain or mental pain, usually it goes away after a while, just because depression doesn't happen. It does happen in some kids, but it doesn't happen in a lot of kids. Usually, most depression is teenagers and young adults. So for kids, it's just kind of like, oh, I'll just go eat some candy to make myself feel happy. Well, when you're depressed as a teenager, you try to make yourself feel happy, but it just doesn't happen. You don't know why. It just doesn't. But so back to my life story. I got my act together, I guess, a bit throughout the rest of freshman year. My grades picked up a bit. And I wasn't really suicidal anymore after I talked to my mom. I didn't think about ending it, but I still wasn't. But I didn't go back. I didn't go back to my middle school self. I didn't go back to being just happy in life. I didn't really feel it at the time. I wasn't. Again, like I said, depression doesn't necessarily make you. It does make some people sad all the time, but it doesn't. But for most people, it doesn't make you sad. It just makes you feel empty, and that's what I felt. I didn't find. I started playing video games less. I still played them a lot, but I didn't play them nearly as much. I found my new hobby was just simply watching YouTube, and that was just watching, just entertainment stuff or watching video games. I watched video games on YouTube a lot. I had done so before high school, but I picked it up a bit more as high school went on. Also, real quick, just to jump back for a sec, just to put this into perspective. Like I said, I've had depression for 6 years, and some people who are older probably think 6 years, oh, that's not that much. Again, like I said, for me, it's up to this point, I'm 19, it's literally been a third of my life, just about, and that's terrible, but to put into perspective how long it's been, just if the number 6 doesn't sound long to you, it was 2014 when it happened, so what was going on at the time. The second Avengers movie didn't come out till the next year. That Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, that was the year that crashed. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump weren't even close to being the primary nominations for the presidency yet. Uh, I don't even know what generation of iPhone was out at the time. It was probably like, I don't know, 6 or 7, which is, I have a 7, which is the one I'm filming on, but I don't know. But yeah, just to put events into perspective, just so you know how long it's been. That's how long I've been going through this. And so freshman year ended, and um, I think in total 3 real friends. I had made a new one during freshman year. I had another one that I had met in 8th grade, which was actually a friend from Crowley, and I hadn't seen him in a while, and he moved to that same district, and it was like, oh, we're reunited, yay. But I still only hung out with my one friend. I'll tell him his name. His name is AJ. I didn't. My other best friends, Jordan and Armani is their names. I didn't. They were my best friends, but I didn't really hang out with them just because I wasn't a very hangout type person. I would just. It would only be me and AJ, and even we didn't really hang out as so much as he would just come over to my house and we would play video games and listen to music, and that was the extent of hanging out. I didn't really, go out and do stuff. Not that many 14-year-olds do, but yeah, just that was the extent of my friendship basically. I would talk to Jordan and Marnie at school and a couple other people who I talked to, but I didn't really consider friends. No offense to anyone, but that was just how that worked. I only consider you a friend if I if I try to talk to you outside of school, which in that case, I guess I wasn't even friends with Jordan or Marnie until a few years later when I would start talking to them outside of school. Also, keep in mind at the time, I wasn't really big on cell phones. I didn't have a cell phone, so I really couldn't talk to anyone. So I only talked to AJ simply because we both had Xbox Live. That was basically the extent of us talking. So I didn't have anyone to, go through this with, because even after I told my mom about my suicidal thoughts, I still wasn't too open with her. Every now and then she would be like, how are you feeling? What's up? And be like, I'm fine. I'm cool. And maybe I didn't even realize that I wasn't. I didn't realize, and this is all stuff I have to explain again. This video is going to be like 2 hours or something. I don't know. But I didn't even realize till probably senior year that I was full on depressed. My freshman and sophomore year, I knew I wasn't enjoying life, but I didn't know why, because depression isn't exactly something they teach you in school, so I didn't really know what it was. I thought that was something that just happens to people when, a family member dies, or they, lose a job. I thought it had to be a life-altering event to make you depressed, and I wouldn't really call freshman year of high school being hard a life-altering event, or at least not to me. Even though it was, I still wouldn't call it that necessarily, because I think life-altering events is something that happens out of the blue. It's something that you cannot expect or prepare for whatsoever. Freshman year, even though I couldn't totally prepare for it, it was school. I still knew what to expect. Maybe not to the extent of that it happened, but I still expected. It's school. It's school. Okay, that's just how it goes. But. So I didn't really I didn't know what depression was. No one knew what depression was at that age. No one does. Maybe very few people. So I just thought, I have no joy for no reason. I'm not happy just because I'm not happy. I don't know. Maybe once I find a new hobby, or once I find a job I like, eventually that'll make me happy. I don't know. I thought I had to attribute it to something. I didn't know it was just an overall effect on my brain. I thought it was attributing, once I'm out of school, I won't be sad anymore. I won't be, miserable. Little did I know. But, so that summer, it was just another typical summer. I played video games, and that was that. Sophomore year comes around, and sophomore year was better. It was definitely a pickup from freshman year. It was a bit easier because I convinced my mom not to give me nearly as many hard classes. I didn't take any AP classes that year, thank God. I took a couple pre-AP ones, which were still hard, but not nearly as hard. And so my sophomore year, my life picked up a little. Not, not to the extent of back when I was younger, before high school, my middle school days when I was 13 and below. My life still hasn't to this day. Just waiting, just waiting. And I throughout the year I could tell, again, why am I not happy? I don't understand. I just didn't know. I just didn't know. And I just went through sophomore year, at times being down, but again, not to the extent of freshman year. I haven't been suicidal since freshman year. Let me come out and say that right now. I have not. There are times where I have had to tell myself, don't go back to thinking like that. Don't ever think like that again. But I have never actually been suicidal since sophomore year, or since freshman year. Thank God. I say thank God a lot, even though I'm not religious, just because it's a common expression. But it's off topic, but need a freaking drink. But so yeah, I went through sophomore year again, like I said, and life picked up a bit. But I started to notice that I started doing less and less, especially like I said, my main hobby was video games. I started to play them less and less. I picked up a new video game here and there, and I would play it for a little while and then get bored with it. The only two games that I played religiously, actively, were GTA 5 and Minecraft, and that was about it. If it wasn't those two games or another game called Regular 3, if it wasn't one of those three games, I would play it for an hour and then leave it. Which to some people that might playing a game for an hour might sound like a lot. To people who know video games, that's nothing. Playing one game for an hour is honestly pathetic. And so yeah, I just noticed I found less and less interesting things. I had picked up a hobby in middle school, the game Yu-Gi-Oh, and by sophomore year I kind of dropped it, mainly because I couldn't find anyone to play with. Sad life. Okay. This really might hurt someone's feelings, and I'm sorry, but it has to be said. From 2008 to 2014 or 15, I forget, my dad and my stepmom had moved out to South Carolina. They used to live here, or 30-minute drive from where me and my mom lived. And so they had been out in South Carolina, and for a long time, and I would see them a couple times. I would see them during the summer, and I would see them during Christmas break, and that was all right with me. Seeing them for a full month kind of got in, instead of seeing them every other weekend, which was what the schedule was. But they had moved back here. And I want to say 2015, so either end of freshman year, beginning of sophomore year, somewhere around that time they had moved back, and I was excited to see them again, all the time, because I love them, they're my dad and my stepmom, I'm not one of those person who has a complicated relationship with their step parents, I'm not like that. But so when my dad came back though, he started to be a full-time dad again, because obviously when I don't see you for 11 months out of the year, you can only be a dad so much through the phone, like, hey, I love you, hey, how's school going, blah 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 blah. There's not too much you obviously can have an effect on, because again, you're not actually there. And I'm not trying to dig at my dad for not being there. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, I didn't have my dad when I was around. I'm so sad that my dad wasn't around. He abandoned me. No, I'm not like that. I'm not. He still loved me. He still cared for me. Any time I saw him, every time I got the phone call, I missed him dearly. He missed me dearly. And when he came back, he was, now he'd get back to being a full-time dad again, or every other weekend, however if you want to call that full-time, whatever. But my dad, he knows this. He is kind of a hard ass. And that's just how, he's a man who grew up in the 80s and 90s, that's how, or he's, that's just how, he's a guy. He's not like me, I'm a bit more sensitive and emotional kind of, I'm a boy. he's a man, okay? You know, he goes to the gym, his job has always been, physical labor. He doesn't sit in an office, and I'm not digging anyone who doesn't. I'm not digging any type of guy here, okay? But he's always been, one of those kind of, just one of the men, his favorite hobby is watching football and golf. And so his way of trying to raise me, I didn't like. Again, I'm not criticizing his way of raising me. I'm not a parent. I'm not sure if I'll ever be a parent, but until I am a parent, potentially, I can't speak to this. But the way he tried to raise me versus the way my mom tried to raise me, they're very different. They're very different types of parenting, and I'm not saying one way is right. I think it's kind of good to have a mix of different types. I think, just one way of parenting is not entirely good. I think it's good to have different types. I mean, hell, my mom raises me in one way, my dad raises me one way, and my stepmom she's kind of in between them. She's a mix of both. My mom is, very emotional and supportive. My dad's kind of like, oh, be a man and step up. And I think it's important to teach that, teach that kind of way of parenting, just be a man. But at the same time, to some people it doesn't work. To me it doesn't work. I was very emotionally like, I don't need you to tell me and how to do something and just kind of stand there and kind of watch. I need you to kind of push me through the door, if you know what I mean. And I need you, as much as this sounds like a baby, I need you to hold my hand just a little bit. And so every time I would see him, we would always, do cool stuff, but he would always find something to criticize. And again, I can't blame him for that, he just has his way of doing things, but I didn't appreciate it. One thing he always got on to me about was brushing my teeth, and rightfully so. I've always been very bad about brushing my teeth because I hate the taste of toothpaste. But the way he would do it just didn't settle too well with me. Instead of being like, hey, brush your teeth because you'll get cavities, it was more kind of like, just brush your teeth, boy, do what I say. And that didn't resonate too well with me. And there were other little things like, whenever I would go over, I would basically do the same thing that I did at my mom's place, which was I would just go into my room and play video games. I would come out to eat dinner or come out to, if we had to go somewhere, I would do that. But as soon as we were in the house and I didn't have anything to do, I would just go to my room. And my dad and my stepmom didn't appreciate that. Like, hey, we don't get to see you every week. We get to see you every other weekend. So while we're here, can you spend time with us? And I can't blame them for kind of getting a little, I guess, irritated that I didn't do it as much. But I was just like, you know what? Just leave me alone. Just leave me to my world, because that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted from anyone, was just leave me to my own world. I will come out to your world when I feel like it. Okay. And there were other things that my dad would criticize me about. I won't say everything just because I feel like it might push your own nerves, whoever you are watching. But there's just certain things he would just always criticize me about, and I didn't appreciate it. And so while I still loved my dad, I didn't appreciate him as much as when I was little, I suppose. I was, it grew from, oh, hey, I'm going to see Dad, to, I'm going to see Dad. This might be good, this might not be good, And my relationship with my father and my stepmom, it's fine now, I think it's honestly better. I don't see him as much because I think both of us come to appreciate the time we do see each other more. I'm also 19 now, so, it's not like he can, just criticize me like a little kid, like he did. And again, I cannot restate this enough. I'm not trying to trash talk him. That's his way of parenting. That's fine. He, they recently adopted another kid, my stepsister, and I think they will raise her, she will be fine. She will be just fine. Whether she had been raised by them or by my mom, whatever. I think she would have grown up to be just fine. Hopefully she doesn't have depression like I do one day. Hopefully, but just, so school on top of my dad and my stepmom, not appreciating how they were raising me, to the point of not even appreciating how my mom was raising me, just because I felt like she pushed me too hard. I felt like they all pushed me too hard, and that so my own internal relation with my parents was strained. Outwardly I acted the same around them. Say, hey, I love you. It's nice to see y'all. But internally, I'm just like, okay, I love y'all, but please leave me alone. Please just let me be. Just let me just have every second I can to myself. I'll see y'all at dinner. And that, again, that probably sounds terrible. But that's just how I felt. I didn't want to see them that much. I was just like, please, y'all don't understand what I'm going through. Just leave me alone. So throughout my sophomore year, the only people I ever opened up to at that point was my friends. They were the only people I talked to about anything. The only reason I would ever tell my parents about anything is if I felt I had no other choice. I almost felt like they were forcing me to tell them what was going on with me. I need a drink. Getting so much saliva in my mouth. So yeah, that was all happening. So sophomore year ended. What was that? So that was the beginning of 2016. No, wait. I'm trying to think. I'm losing track of time here. Yeah. So sophomore year should have ended at the beginning of 2016. Yeah. And so that summer, my mom decided she wanted me to get a job, because I was 15. I was 15, turning. I was 15. I was 15 that year. I was born in 2001, so my age is 1 year below the year I'm in. So I was 15 in 2016, and so she wanted me to get a job because she had a job at 15. She wanted me to just start experiencing adulthood, because I was going into it. And boy, I could not have wanted to get a job less if you whipped me. Like, I already dreaded having to go to school for 3/4 of the year, and now you want me to get a job in my off time, the summer, when I'm supposed to be happy, and so that really put a damper on that summer. I worked at Whataburger. I only worked there like 3 or 4 times a week, not even, and my shifts were only a matter of hours. I wasn't a full-time employee or anything like that. But even the thought of having to walk into work, I just dreaded. I'm like, I hate this work. No, most of the people there, not that they were bad people, but they weren't people that I just socialized with that much. They weren't my kind of people, I suppose. No, I'm not saying I'm above them or anything. I'm just saying they weren't exactly the kind of people I was used to hanging out with. And I was just like, I dreaded having to go to work every single day. I dreaded it like I dreaded school. Literally the only positive was I was getting paid. I wasn't even getting paid that much, but I didn't care, because I was like, I spend my money on video games and that's it. So I don't care how much money I make. But that was about the only. So even making money wasn't a full positive, because I didn't spend all of it, because when you're a kid and you have money, you literally spend every dime you get in like a week. But at that time, when I was making money as a 15-year-old, it's like I was making money, but it didn't make me happy, because I didn't have anything to spend it on, because I had all the video games I want. At the same time, I was losing my passion for video games a bit, and I didn't really care to buy anything else. I've never been big on buying clothes for myself. I've always had I have about 30 t-shirts that I will go through in a few weeks and then rinse and repeat. I've always had one pair of shoes. I was never a big person of buying Jordans or anything. So, I didn't have anything to spend it on. And so I was like, well, what's this? I'm working for nothing. I'm making money for nothing. I'm being miserable for nothing. I'm only here because my mom thought it'd be a good experience for me. And it wasn't. To be honest, I've always been bad about responsibility, but like, so I needed something to teach me about being responsible, but work wasn't it. It wasn't teaching me to be responsible. It was just making me dread responsibility even more. And that's I think that's a personal issue, because some people that does teach them responsibility, their first job, or whatever it may be. But for me, it just made me like, oh, I don't want to grow up even more now. Great. Uh, Also, at the time of my freshman and sophomore year, in middle school, for the longest time, I thought I would be an architect. Growing up, I was like, oh, I want to be an architect. Designing buildings sounds fun. And then I fell out of love with that. And then I don't even know what I wanted to do. And like, all right, sorry, my camera turned off there, or my phone. So what was I saying? Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do going through middle school. I was just like, I'm going into college. I don't know what for yet. That's basically what my mindset was. And beginning in freshman year, I was like, you know what? I like video games so much. Why don't I be a video game tester? People who, they test out video games in their beginning stages. And I thought, that sounds fun. And I looked up stuff about it, and I realized you don't have to go to college for it. You don't have to have a college degree. And all my life, everyone had told me you have to go to college. People who don't go to college fail. They're failures. They don't get anywhere in life. But I slowly realized that that's not exactly the case. I realized, hey, neither of my parents have college degrees, and sure, they're not in the best financial situations in life, but they're not in the worst. They're fine. They have my mom has an apartment. My dad and my stepmom have a house. They all seem fine. And I also started, as high school was dreadful. I was like, do I really want to go through another 4 years of college, which to me was like, that's going to be the hardest school I've ever had to do, and it's going to be another 4 years of school that potentially will be unnecessary depending on what job I take. So I thought, you know what, I might not go. And I hid that fact. I did not tell a single soul that I didn't want to go to college, because my mom would have had a freaking panic attack, probably, at the time at least, if I had told her, you know what, I don't want to go. And then throughout sophomore year, I was like, okay, video game tester, that doesn't really. I looked up the salary, and I was like, okay, this sounds fun, but it doesn't pay enough. Their salaries are not that great. Not that I know of. I'm not sure. And I had started watching YouTube a lot more, and I realized YouTube seems like a lot of fun, because I've always been an entertainer. I've always tried, to people. I've never been an entertainer at school because I'm very shy. But when I know you know that I try to always be the comedian in the group. I always try to put on a show. I always like to make things that I'm doing over dramatic. I've always been an entertainer, whether it's to myself or to other people around me. And I was like, you know what? YouTube seems like a fun thing, because you're making videos about anything you want. You're getting paid for it, and you potentially get to be a celebrity. So I was like, you know what? That seems like fun. And so I started doing a lot of research on YouTube. I started doing a lot of, fact checking, like, oh, how much do YouTubers make? How long does it take you to start making a full-time salary on it? And I realized, you know what? I could potentially do this. I could potentially, make a living off YouTube. Because even if I don't become super popular like PewDiePie or Mr. Beast or KSI or anyone, even if I don't become a millionaire, there are still plenty of people on YouTube who make full-time salaries and have their subscriber numbers in the tens of thousands. And while let's say 50,000 subs sounds like a lot, in YouTube standards, it's not as much as it seems. Having 50,000 subscribers on YouTube versus having 50,000 followers on Instagram, I think the YouTube subscribers is a bit easier to gain just because of how it works. I can't explain it. It just seems easier. You can make pretty decent money off of not that much. And that was something I couldn't explain to my parents because they're from an age that, I mean, anyone who doesn't do YouTube, it's really hard, or doesn't watch YouTube actively, which is my parents. Neither of them are really big on watching YouTube. They can't understand how you could make a living off just recording yourself doing stuff. But I understood how it worked, and how there's probably plenty of people watching this video who still don't think that's a thing. But trust me, if you put enough hard work into YouTube, it's not just luck. Okay, for some people it is luck. For some people they just get lucky, and for those people who just get lucky and don't ever, even when they get lucky and they get popular, but they don't put hard work still, they won't make it. The only way you succeed on YouTube is if you put hard work into it. It is a career, it is a passion. You have to put hard work into it. And whether you get lucky and you get popular after 1 year, but all your hard work pays, and you still continue doing hard work, so you maintain that success, or you put in hard work for 5 or 10 years and it finally pays off, it will pay off. It will. Okay. I know this is not a video to explain about how YouTube can be a success or anything, but it's just to anyone who doesn't believe me, it can work. Okay, it doesn't have to be pure luck of the draw. It doesn't have to be a lottery. It has to be it can be pure luck of the draw to get, to be in like the top 10, top 20 on YouTube. But to make a full-time salary on YouTube, it doesn't have to be luck, okay? Because you just have to put hard work into it. And so I thought, you know what, that's my career. And at the same time, I realized that also doesn't require a degree. Hell, it doesn't even require a high school degree. It just requires that you know how to edit and you know how to make a good video, which I know how to do both, or at least I think I do. And so I was like, you know what, I can do it. I can do that. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do with my life. I'm gonna be a YouTuber. I'm going to, put passion into being an entertainer, whether through making video game videos or vlogging or any assortment of random crap. I will be a YouTuber. And I will not go to college because high school, and this was sophomore year. I'd only been through half of high school, and I was like, high school has already made me this miserable. I don't want college to make me that much more miserable. So it's like, you know what? Done. I'm not going to college. I'm not doing it. And so that was my mindset. I didn't tell anybody that for a while because, I didn't want my parents to freak out because, again, that's all your parents ever tell you when you're young. Go to college. Go to college. Go to college. And to anyone watching this thing of dropping out, I'm not telling you to drop out or to not go. Pursue your passion. If your passion requires a college degree, get one. Get one. If it doesn't, you should probably get one just to be safe. Just in case your passion doesn't work out, but I honestly believe if you put enough hard work into your passion, it will pay off, unless you just straight suck at it. Okay? If you have a passion that you're not good at, that sucks. I'm sorry. But if you put enough hard work into your passion, I think anyone can do it and can become successful at it. You may not be Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos level of successful, but you will be successful enough to have a happy life. Hell, I could live in an apartment for the next 20 years and be happy. I don't have to have a big fancy mansion. That would be nice, but I don't have to have a big fancy mansion and drive a Lamborghini to be happy in life. I think living in an apartment, hell, I'm sure most people like to live in houses. I don't mind apartments, at least I don't right now at 19 years old. I'd be perfectly happy with living in an apartment for the next 10, 20 years. I don't care. As long as I like it, as long as I like the people I'm living in with it, and as long as I like the job I am doing, I don't care. I don't, and as long as I can put food on the table that I like, that's all that matters. So that was my mindset. So going in, I had back to the job. I had Whataburger as a job for the summer. Going to junior, okay, there's no way I'm working and going to school. I will probably get suicidal again. And I say that in a very light-toned manner because I'm trying to be, funny. But I honestly thought I would revert back to that mental process. I would revert back to being suicidal if I had to do a job and school at the same time. So I convinced my mom to let me drop the job. And junior year began, and junior year was hell. I feel like every high schooler goes through this where it's either your odd years or your even years that are bad. Either your freshman and junior year suck, or your sophomore and your senior year suck. For me, it was my freshman, my junior. For one of my best friends, it was his sophomore and his senior. It's two out of your 4 years of high school really suck. All 4 years of my high school sucked, but there were 2 of them where it was really, really bad. And for me, it was my freshman, my junior. Because my junior year, my mom gave me another AP class. It was AP U.S. History. And to anyone who went to my high school, which is probably almost no one watching this, but to a couple of you, to anyone who took AP U.S. History with Coach Payne, yes, his name is Payne, you know that class might be the worst class in the history of histories. It was just so bad because I don't know, I don't even want to get into why it was bad. It just was, okay? There are just classes that are bad. There are teachers that are bad. And that was just one of those. That was just very bad. And it just made my life miserable again because there was so much homework, and I hate homework because I don't already like going to school during the day. So when I get home, my happy place, and I still have homework that makes me miserable, I'm like, oh, now you're ruining my time at my happy place and at the miserable place. It's like, oh, just ruining my life everywhere I go. And so I had a lot of homework, and that homework was not easy because it required reading, and I hate reading. I hate reading. I don't know why. I wish I didn't, but I just do. I never liked reading. And so, yeah, that class made that junior year. It was just, I had other miserable classes that year, but that class was just the epitome of just, honestly, that teacher to this day is the devil to me. Noah, I don't think you'll ever watch this, but if you do, I'm sorry, you are the devil. You cannot teach, okay? Honestly, I don't think there's anyone I personally hated more in my life than that teacher, okay? I hated his guts. I honestly wished he would get sick and never come back to that class. Anytime we had a substitute, I thought literally the heavens had opened up. But anyway, enough of my over-dramatization. I told you I like to do that. So yeah, junior year was pretty miserable. Also, that was the year I pretty much lost my passion for video games. I would always tell myself to play them. And to this day I do this sometimes. I will turn on a video game, and I want to play a video game. So I turn it on, I get to the main menu, and then I just sit there and don't play it. I just leave the screen on, and I'm like, I want to play this, but at the same time I don't. I don't know why. And I did this with just about every video game. And so the main hobby, my main passion that I had for years was gone. And that really hit me. You know, the only passion I had left now was watching YouTube videos. And so all I would do every day when I wasn't doing schoolwork or eating, I would basically just scroll through YouTube to find something to entertain myself. Whether it be a gaming video or a vlog or whatever. That's all I would do. You know, I would play the occasional video game here and there, and I would make it seem like that's what I'm doing. You know, every time my parents would walk in, I would make it look like I was playing video games. I didn't want to look like I was just sitting there doing nothing because I didn't want them to worry about me. And so my parents still thought that's all I did. Like, oh, you need to do something besides video games. And internally, I was like, I don't play video games. Stop criticizing me about playing video games when I don't. Even though you don't know. I was just lost. And I finally, during junior, I realized, you know what? Maybe I have depression. Maybe that's what this is. Because I had started to learn a bit more about it. And it just made sense to me, like, oh, I'm just down all the time. Even if nothing bad's happening to me, I'm just down. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I have depression. But I didn't know how to fix it, and when I learned how to fix it, I didn't want to, because the only fixes for depression, it would seem, there's only three things, really. It's either medicine, therapy, or whatever made you depressed in the first place is gone now, and so you're better. So let's say you get depressed because you lost your job. Oh, but then you get a new job, and you like that job, so you kind of aren't really depressed anymore. And I wouldn't even say that's really depression as so much you're just sad for a short period of time, whereas depression is there constantly and forever. It's just there. So I didn't want to go talk to a therapist because who does? who honestly thinks it's a good idea to just go sit in a room and have someone ask you like just boring, melancholy questions, and you just talk out your problems. Because I never liked talking to anybody anyway, so why would go talking to a complete stranger when I don't even talk to my own mom about this if it seemed like a good idea? And I didn't want to get on medication because the idea of having to be on medicine, like I didn't realize that depression was really a sickness at that point. I thought it was kind of just a mentality. And hell, maybe that's what it is. It may not even be a sickness, but you should treat it like one, okay? You have cancer in your brain, and you have to get it out with medication or therapy, okay? And just... So I went through that summer after junior year being like, okay, maybe senior year things will finally, the misery will finally end. Maybe once I'm graduated, I can start to pick things up in life. Maybe school, I don't want to go to college. I'm not going to. So maybe once I'm out of school, depression will finally be lifted. Also, at the time, I got another job, and this time I kept that job. I didn't like it. I didn't. I worked as a busser at Cheddar's. I basically busted tails, and that wasn't fun, but I didn't have another choice. My mom made me, and I'm not the kind of person who just refuses to do stuff if my parents... I'm not a bad child, okay? I don't just straight refuse stuff when my parents tell me to do something. I don't like it. I won't like it, and I will complain, but I would... In the end, I will cave, and I will do it. Because I don't need to get the cold shoulder from my parents who feed me, who take care of me. So I got a job. I didn't like it. I had to, retain that job throughout the summer now, and I was like, oh, that's fun, great. Oh no, I take that back. Actually. I didn't get the job until the end of senior year, which is actually something that made my life. I'm sorry. See, my brain is just fused stuff together. 6 years. Yeah, I didn't have a job after junior year, which I was thankful for. Going into senior year, my stupid principal at that school, you know who you are, Dr. Satan. Okay, his name is Dr. Satan. We call him Dr. Satan. He decided to change the schedule at school where it was a block schedule. So basically, it was like college. You would do classes ABC on Monday, and you would do classes DEF on Tuesday, and then it would rotate, Monday and Wednesday classes, Tuesday, Thursday classes, and then Friday I think it was every class, except just shorter. And that didn't work too well because it means I would have to get out at different times in the day, and my mom who picked me up just couldn't take off, one day. At Monday she would take off at 3, and then Tuesday she would take off at 1. That's something that just couldn't work out. So I had to get a car. I didn't get my license, and I didn't have my license at that point because I just didn't like driving all that much. I was kind of scared of me. And so basically at this point, I was forced to get a license, which means I was forced to get a car, which means I was forced to get a job to pay for gas and insurance because my parents were like, we already pay for everything else, so you gotta pay for this. So sorry about your bad luck. And so I had to get a job, which was Cheddar's, and I didn't like it, and I was like, oh great, now I have to do school and work, the thing I hoped I would never have to do. And so senior year, although it was a pickup from junior year, was miserable, just like every other year in high school. It was miserable, and I didn't know what to do anymore. I had finally, told my mom I want to do YouTube. I'm not so sure about college. She was like, too bad you're going to college, because she didn't understand YouTube. She still doesn't. No, she hopes that I do well, but at the same time she wants me to have a backup plan, which is college, and I just don't want to do it. I just don't. I'm sorry. That's how it is, but so yeah, anyway, I was going through senior year just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. Because something else that depression does to you, like I said, it makes you feel not sad all the time, but it makes you feel miserable. You're not crying constantly. You have crying fits here and there. You're not crying constantly though, but you don't feel happy on just about anything. Nothing made me happy anymore because I had lost my passion for video games, And while I liked watching YouTube, that's not exactly something that'll make you happy. Just watching YouTube or watching almost everyone enjoys watching TV. They enjoy it, but it doesn't necessarily make them happy. It doesn't, unless you're actively doing something like playing a game or doing this. You have to be actively participating in something to make you happy. You can be entertained by TV and YouTube, but it doesn't make you happy per se. And so that was all I had left, was either hanging out with my friends or watching YouTube or playing video games once a week. Trying to, at least. And so I was just like, I want to do YouTube. I want to do it. That's my passion. I like making videos, but I'm only in the mood to make videos every couple months. This video is the first video I posted in 2 months because I don't ever feel like doing anything. All I do every day since junior year is wake up at if it's not a school day, I'll wake up at 1 or 2 a.m. because I'm a night owl, and I'll just scroll through Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or the news, and I'll eat lunch, and that's about it. I don't do anything for fun anymore besides when my friends come over, and even when they come over, I don't do anything with them as much as I just talk to them, and just talking to them makes me feel better. But they, while they play video games, I just kind of sit there and just kind of watch them, and I'm just happy that they're in my presence. That's about it. And so I was kind of like, okay, I have to do something because I'm about to graduate, high school, senior. This is my last year of high school. I don't want to go to college. YouTube's my plan, but I can't, even when I work hard at YouTube, it doesn't happen overnight. It does take time to actually, build a following and build up to actually making a living off of it. And I have to start now, and I have to start, the sooner the better. The more you put it off, the longer it's going to take. And so I was like, I finally caved, and I told my mom, okay, you know what? I'll try therapy. I'll go to therapy. And I went to, I want to say, maybe 6 therapy sessions, and no, I don't hate this therapist, but he was just an old man who talked very slow. Most of his helpful ideas were just sitting and thinking about happy stuff, but I couldn't do that because nothing made me happy anymore, so what was there to think about? Every time I think, I just think of all the bad stuff in life because I've become such a cynical person. And so therapy, it didn't help. It just didn't help. So I went to therapy from December to January, and then I quit it. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to graduate high school and just see where life carries me. I'll just continue working my part-time job, and hopefully eventually I'll pick up YouTube and get on my merry way. I graduated high school, and summer started, and I was just, again, I was doing the same thing. If I wasn't at work, I was just at home doing nothing, pretty much. And for May until July, I was like, okay, I don't think I'm depressed anymore because I'm not in school. Maybe I'm not depressed anymore. But then I slowly started to realize, you know what? No, I am still depressed. It is still affecting me daily. And I finally, after years of not understanding, I think I started to finally understand depression and how it worked. And I was like, okay, Mom, I need to try medication. I need to try it because I've run out of options. I can't continue like this, or I will just end up into nothingness. I will just, not necessarily that I'll commit suicide or just die, but I'll just end up a lazy slob who only works to find something to do. That's it. I need to have a reason to get up in the morning. I need to have a reason to get up besides go to work, because that's not a good reason to get up. Sure, most people get up to, they wake up early to go to work, but they're like, oh, I have other things to do after work, or maybe I actually get up because I enjoy my job. No, I get up to go to work because I have literally nothing else to do. I have to pay off bills, and that's it. That's the only thing driving me every day besides eating. And so I finally got on this medication called Now, do not take any medication unless a doctor prescribes it. Okay, it's a bad idea to just start taking stuff. But I took this medicine called Lexapro, or the weird doctor's name for it, Xdilopram. I can't even. I don't know if you can see that Xdilopram right there. And it started to make me not feel as down every day. I started to have less anxiety. I didn't have as many crying fits as I did, but it didn't help my motivation. I still didn't, like to do anything ever. I wasn't nearly as sad about just life as much as I had been, which was really good. Not waking up every day and wanting to cry was good. But at the same time, waking up every day and still not wanting to do anything sucks. Because if you don't have passion for anything, then life's just terrible. That's just how, you need to have passion in what you're doing. And I didn't have passion to do anything besides talk to my friends and eat food. That was all I had passion for, and watching YouTube. That was like it. I had pretty much at that point lost almost any passion I had for video games, which sucked. And so again, like I said earlier, I've always had trouble saying no to my mom, and she basically was like, "You're going to college. You don't have to go full time. You can only take a couple classes. I think I took 4. My first semester, which was 2019. The latter half of 2019 is the last year, and I took those classes. And while I didn't hate them as much as I did high school, I still was like, I have no passion in this. I don't know. I want to be a YouTuber, which doesn't require a degree. I don't want to have to work 4 years through school, which I hate, to get a degree that I'm not even going to use. And, maybe one day I'll find a different passion, but until I do, I don't want to focus on trying to, get a degree in something I don't care about. A lot of people get college degrees in fields that they will never go into. And I think that's, I think going into college right after high school is a mistake. I honestly do. I don't. Because for your first 2 years, they say, oh, well, you don't have to worry about your major till your junior year or whatever. You'll change your major 5 times. And I'm like, yeah, it's not a good thing, though, like, changing it. Because you're flip-flopping all over the place, deciding what you want to do. And it's just like, I don't think that's good. Because even if your first 2 years is just basics, I think you shouldn't, I don't think you should take the last 2 years of college, which is when you take all of the classes focused on your degree. I don't think you should take those until you know what you want to do. Because so many people, they're just like, oh, I think I want to do this. They're not sure. They're just like, oh, it pays good. Sounds fun. I'll do that. They truly don't think, what it's going to be like to wake up every day for 5 days a week, or maybe even a full 7 days a week, and be like, I have to go do this. To me, waking up every day and doing YouTube sounds like fun when I actually have the motivation to do it, which I don't right now. I'm still the same. But it's just like, I can't picture myself getting a degree in anything else what I want to do, She was like, oh, why don't you try maybe doing a degree in video editing or something to do with, like, cinematography, because that'll help out with YouTube. And I'm just like, but it still requires me to take a bunch of classes that I will hate. Because, I hate school. I hate it. I don't know if I've said that enough. I hate school. Everything that I have enjoyed, I have done on my own. I learned how to do YouTube on my own. No class taught me how to edit or how to, make entertaining video, how to talk to a camera. I figured all that out on my own, and that's just, that's how I've been. Everything I like, I kind of figured out on my own. That's just where my passion comes from. And so, going throughout that first semester of college, I was like, I'm dropping this. There's no way I'm continuing. There's no way I will continue to just take classes that mean nothing. They mean nothing to me. And so I told my mom, and she was like, okay, I will let you drop it, but in order to keep you occupied, you'll have to start paying rent. And that's how it works, now, which is what I do now. I work for Domino's now. I'm a delivery driver, which I don't love the job, but I don't hate it nearly as much. Thank God. But so yeah, that's So basically, I'm fast forwarding throughout most of 2020, which sucks. This year sucks, by the way. That's basically. Sorry, the camera cut off again. But yeah, as I was saying, that's what I've been doing for all of 2020 now is I've just been working and paying a couple bills. I forgot to mention when I started my college semester, there are a couple things I started to do different in life. I started going to the gym, not very much, but a little bit, which I've always been skinny. I've always been really tiny. I don't have really big muscles or anything, and I saw a lot of other things that'll say it'll help with depression. It didn't really help me. I just did it because I wanted to be beefier, or not beefier, just ripped. But although now I do miss it now. Ever since COVID, I was like, okay, I just want to go back and start. I want to go a lot more and actually get ripped because I was going steadily and I was increasing my muscles a little bit, but not too much. But anyway, but yeah. Also at the time, I finally went to see a doctor and they prescribed me. My mom had already given me her Lexapro, which, like I said, don't take medicine if your doctor doesn't prescribe it to you. That's what I did. I was an idiot. And it helped. It didn't have any negative effects. But just to be safe, go to a doctor first. But yeah, and so they continued me on that one because I told them it had helped with my, overall anxiety and sadness a bit. But I needed something else to get me to motivate. And I've tried 2 different ones at this point. They both haven't worked. They both haven't really done anything, or at least not that I noticed. I stopped taking them after a month because I'm impatient. I'm very impatient. I probably shouldn't have, but I did. So I'm gonna go back to the doctor soon. Hopefully, either they'll tell me to take it longer, or they'll put me on another one, which will hopefully work. And hopefully one day after, I don't know, a year to 5 years down the line, I won't have to take medication more. I might have to take it the rest of my life. I don't know. Some people do. Some people take medication forever. Hopefully I won't, because that just seems annoying. But if I have to, I will. I will do anything at this point to not be depressed, because it's been the worst thing that's ever happened to me. But yeah, although I have noticed, even though that medicine has helped with my anxiety, I have had more reasons to be anxiety. I guess things that normally affect teenagers didn't really affect me. All that affected me was school, and I was just like, oh, I hate school, just let me be. And so things that normally would affect teenagers didn't really affect me until now, until I'm 19. I've been out of high school for a year now, and they haven't hit me until now. Like I said, I finally started going to the gym. I became insecure about my body, and I've gained some weight since coronavirus started, so I hate that, become insecure about that. I became insecure about my acne, which is terrible. I don't have the worst acne in the world, but I hate it. So I'm finally started to try and fix that recently. This might sound gross, but I didn't start wearing moisturizer until now. Until I'm 19, I didn't really wear moisturizer ever. Okay, I'm not saying I didn't take showers. I took showers. Calm down. But I didn't really wear moisturizer because I was like, what's the point in that? Whatever. So I'm starting to fix that. This is bad. I have become obsessed. Now this may relate to depression, or it may just be being a teenage boy, but I have become obsessed with trying to find a girlfriend. Like, for the longest time, I never ever cared about having a girlfriend. I already hate everything in life. Why do I need a girlfriend to try and distract me? That's just whatever. And I had crushes throughout the years, but I never acted on them because I was too shy. And again, I didn't care too much to have a girlfriend until I got a crush at one of the girls at my work, and I was like, I've never had a crush like this before. And it made me just a little depressed when that didn't work out because she had a boyfriend. Cry. That made me cry a bit. Whatever. And God, if she watches the video, I'm going to be so embarrassed. But please don't stop talking to me, by the way. She already knows this, but hopefully this won't embarrass her too much. I'm not telling her her name, by the way, just in case. But, yeah, and, that sucked, not being able to, have the biggest crush I ever had, to fulfill that. But, so I've always been too shy to actually go out and try and meet people, and now I can't even meet people because coronavirus. Thanks. coronavirus. I can't even when I want to go out and try and meet a girl now, I can't. Thanks. And so I tried online dating. Never worked. That sucked. Don't try it, please. It sucks. It doesn't really, but at least it didn't work for me. Maybe because I'm just ugly. I don't know. But but yeah, I've just become really insecure lately, and I think that's someone everyone goes through. It's just it didn't affect me till now, and I already have depression, so it kind of stacked on top of that. But I honestly don't think that's anything out of the ordinary. Again, like I said, I think everyone's insecure about it at some point. Maybe some. I don't think there's some people who aren't. I don't think my dad would have been one of them, but I think my mom probably. It's a lot of girls and some guys go through it, and I'm just going through it. But I think that's something. I don't think that's something linked to depression. I just think it's kind of just there with it. But yeah, I just think I'm also insecure about my hair. I hate my haircut. Like I only swoop it to the side so it doesn't, I can hide it under my hat. My normal hair, it just comes really far down over my forehead, and I hate it. But at the same time, I don't know what haircut to get, so I just stick to it. And this is going kind of off topic. I'm just really explaining my life to you at this point, but I feel like again it's necessary because any little thing like you not liking your hair, it's just made worse when you're depressed. Okay, like I worry about my hair. Well, I'm depressed and I worry about my hair a lot more. It's kind of thing like that. So I mean, just back. Okay, I'm gonna call this video what it's like or what it feels like to have depression and anxiety, how it's affected me. And even though a lot of it has to do more with my life, I feel like, again, I can't explain it without explaining my life. I feel because everyone's life is different. Everyone's depression is different, okay? Depression isn't the same for everyone. It affects people in different ways. And I feel like I could not have explained it and how it has affected me without, going through my whole, at least high school life story. And, now, and that's another thing how it affects me now is that I look back on the past 6 years with so much regret. There was so much I missed out on. I never had a whole lot of friends. I never went out. I never went to any parties. Maybe that's a good thing. But, my depression only made me more introverted than I already was when I was a kid, which sucked. I didn't go to prom. I didn't go to homecoming. And not saying I would have liked to, but I would have liked to at least. I wished I would have liked to gone there. Even if I wasn't depressed, I might still not have liked it. But I would at least. I feel like depression robbed me of at least the chance to like some more stuff in high school. I don't know, because I wouldn't have liked that stuff when I was younger, so maybe I wouldn't have liked it now. But I just wish. I will go on for the rest of my life having no fond memories of high school. And like I said earlier, I don't think anyone remembers high school as the best point in their life, but there's happy stuff they can remember about it. Not for me, high school, just the last 6 years, I can't, there's very few things I will remember for the rest of my life, other than that I was sad, and that I just didn't like life, and that sucks, having whole years where you won't remember one positive thing. It's I don't want to say it's heartbreaking, but it kind of is, at least to me. I have so many fond memories, but they're all from years and years ago. It's almost to the point where a happy thought is almost a nostalgic feeling to this point. It's like, oh, a happy thought. I haven't felt that in so long. Wow, this feels great. I don't know what that feels like anymore to be happy. I haven't. Like I said, I'm not as depressed as I was in freshman and junior year, but I'm still not happy in life. I still don't enjoy things. I wish coronavirus wasn't a thing. I wish I had a girlfriend to share life with. And I wish I had a girlfriend to share life with, and hopefully she makes my life happier. That kind of crap. I don't know. This, if you haven't already having your mind waking up, this might wake up your mind a bit. Like I said, I have had depression for 6 years, and almost no one knew until I actually told them, because I was so good at putting on a facade of faking, at least not not being happy, but being at least pleasant in life. And I realized I'm not the only one that's good at that, because I won't name them. I won't mention in any way what the relationship is with me, but because I don't want to rat them out or anything. And I'm sure they'll watch this and they might get pissed that I mention this, but I know someone who told me last year that at sometime before that, they had held a knife to their wrist and came very close to committing suicide. And while I'd known that they were kind of sad in life, I hadn't seen that at all. I had no idea they were anywhere close to that level of depression. And so, like, even someone who suffers from depression, me, I couldn't see that in someone else. My parents couldn't see it in me. I couldn't see it in them. That person at least. And you can't see it. And you can kind of notice signs, but you cannot see the full extent unless they tell you. I read a story about this one high school. I forget where it was, but I think it was in Utah. 6 kids committed suicide in 1 year, and every single parent was dumbfounded. They could not believe their kids would do this. They couldn't see it at all, and it's just heartbreaking. And so, I encourage any parent who thinks that something is wrong with their kid, or hell, I encourage anyone who thinks that they know someone who doesn't seem as happy recently. They notice they're more distant. I encourage you to please talk to them, even if they want to, because I didn't want to talk to anyone for a long time. I encourage you, make them talk. Tell them how much you love them, how much you care for them. Tell them no matter what happens, you're there for them. Tell them, just tell them to tell you everything. Because those people need saving, Depression is the worst sickness anyone could have. Because, a sickness like cancer robs you of your life. A sickness like depression robs you of wanting to have a life in the first place. And it's just terrible. So, I think that's just where I'm going to sign off. I've talked for quite a long time. If you watched through the whole video, or at least you made it through most of it, I'm proud of you. Oh my God. I can't really think of a way to end this video. So I hope, in the next few years, I hope one of my goals for this year is to finally be happier, get things done. I hope by the end of the year, my depression maybe hasn't gone away, but has improved vastly. And I hope within the next year, I'm no longer depressed. I hope I find my passion to do things again, I hope that I just better. And I hope 5 years from now, I'm looking back on all of this as a terrible time, but a learning experience. And I hope I helped anyone who watched this video. I hope you were helped by this experience. I hope you weren't super bored by my monotone voice and stuff. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, I'll talk to y'all later.